passengers. So let's do our collective Hollywood reading here. I'm going to get general messages first, and then we're going to explore the 100% taxes that Trump want to put on films that are outside of this country. So basically, he wants to tax film creators who are outside of America to be able to have their films over here. I'm not sure of how it all works, because I think this is something he just kind of brought up, but he never gave full details to. But I could kind of pick up on what's going on here, and we'll get into that. But yeah, so basically opposing sides are afraid that it could be kind of dangerous because they're afraid that the other countries could seek retaliation if they start to get blocked too much to be able to do their film production and collaborate with people in America. And then it's like, what does that look like for the Americans that collaborate with film creators that isn't in this country? So a lot of things to think about and a lot of things to explore with that. And then we're going to do AI versus entertainment. What does that look like? And how we have these AI artists popping up. And now they have these actors and actresses that's popping up. And it's all like, okay, what does all of this mean? And then the last thing that came in that I made a note of was the change in sex workers and what that's going to look like. And what this would it be what this would mean for other sex workers, but then also what this would mean for other women and men who are in, heterosexual relationships. Okay. Welcome to my newbies. Hello to my oldies. My name is Diamond and you are watching Pretty Blind Eyes. The readings held on this channel are for entertainment purposes only. The discussions held on this channel should not be taken as literal advice. I feel so flushed and nervous. Whew. The readings held on this channel should not be, the discussions held on this channel should not be, I can't remember my words. I done got nervous. The readings held on this channel are for entertainment purposes only. The discussions held on this channel should not be taken as literal advice. I am legally blind, so I do read Braille on my cards to decipher what they are, but I'm an overall intuitive reader. In the description box below, you can find several ways to interact with me, one of which is the availability to book private readings. That calendar is open. Thank you guys for all the love, support, gifts, donations, journeying with me in patience. And as far as the PBE School goes, you guys will start to see reconstruction there all throughout the month of October. And hopefully everything will be set into stone so you guys know what you're getting in November. In the meantime and in between time, thank you guys who are staying and doing like the Patreon thing where you're just supporting at $1.99. Okay. All right, so let's see generally here what's going on with Holly of the Wood. And I think they were saying that Trump's argument was that, again, it's similar to everything else in this country that he's making adjustments for. It's like we're basically taking Hollywood back to, or something like that from what I read. He feels that... again, just like anything else, we should be producing our own stuff and giving Americans the American jobs for American consumers. Okay, there we go. Bringing everything back in America. See, world card. And it's starting with him. So, and if you pay attention to everything that's going on in a pattern way, what Spirit is saying is that if you think about how he's sending the National Guard out, and all I always see is these perimeters and border lines that are being mapped out and guarded. It's the same thing with the country too. It's like he's starting to put a big gate around the country. Now, one must ask, is it just about bringing everything back into America, or is there something bigger here? It's giving more of how do I put it? More of getting control of something with consistency. And reliability. Oh my God, I am channeling, can't talk. I don't know why this energy is like this. It has me nervous, so it's gonna be a lot, guys. It's gonna be a lot of changes. I don't know, maybe sometimes we will get afraid of what's going on and all of that, because as I was taking the notes and stuff, I started to think, is it about us getting everything back in America for America, or is it about doing that as step one, but then step two would be to then crank up the energy on AI? It's like, what is the word I'm trying to think of, guys, when you put something in place that you kind of like isolated. Yeah, thank you, Spirit. Yeah, like to me, I'm seeing where this is more of an isolation strategy and tactic, so that things could be monitored and watched more. So again, step one is put everything back in America for Americans, but then why, right? And then to me, from what I'm seeing so far, is so that things could be more isolated, so they could be monitored and tested better, because they are showing the scientific method, basically, You guys remember we had to do that in high school, the scientific method, and you had to do everything step by step and all of that. Yeah. So, I mean, step one is just like isolation, basically, is what they're calling it. Isolate situations, isolate the jobs, isolate what comes in and out from the people to the people. If people are having to deal with, if you can choose all the different things that people are dealing with, you could kind of predict the outcome better when you're running your experiment. So yeah, they're calling it the scientific method. And you make your hypothesis, and I got to look at the steps now, because I feel like it's messages in that as to what Trump really has going on and what's really being put into place. Okay, World card with the Knight of Pentacles and the Eight of Cups. Yep. Page of Wands here, a lot of shifting. Oh yeah, and this also, thank you, Spirit, this is also tying into the collective readings, the Hollywood readings that I was doing when I was speaking on crypto and the currency, and how by the time Trump is out of the chair, we will have, I don't know if it's going to be like freshly the new beginning, beta or what, but we will be able to finally see what that is like primarily. Like, it's so many options now, but I feel like it's going to be one main thing. And I feel like I don't think these dollar bills are going to be here anymore by the time he gets out of the chair. So that's what they're doing. So they're isolating everything, getting everything in one spot so that they can regulate and monitor closer. If you have everything open and you have American citizens dealing with other, doing business with other people in other countries and all, it's just too open, and it's less predictable. You can't control it. Yeah, thank you, Spirit. Yeah, remember in the scientific method, you have your control, that one part in the experiment that remains the same no matter what. And then is it your variable? Is that the thing that always changes? Like, you manipulate that to change to see how it affects the control. But then it's one more thing, right? Is it three different? I got to look at it. I got to look at the scientific method. But yeah, so what I'm seeing here, Nine of Pentacles with the Fool card, again, it's a lot of isolation going on, just trying to make everything as consolidated as possible. Oneness with the states, right, on the borderlines. Then we need oneness in our country, and like it's almost low key a sneaky way of doing a shutdown without causing panic to society. So, all right, let's see what else. So Trump really, that came out first. So we don't need to. So generally in Hollywood, this is going to impact Hollywood a lot. Channeling. And I remember telling y'all that, channeling that, like, a lot of people will choose to leave. So we may see a lot of people applying for citizenship in other countries, and I'm hearing dual citizenship and all of that, because I do still see people that don't live in America anymore still, sending people in and out to conduct business for them, but they own businesses here. I also saw earlier this week that, and I think I mentioned this in Virgo reading this week, but that the cities would be only business hubs. So I'm very interested in seeing what they're about to do with these buildings that are for shelter, like for, apartments and things like that, that's mixed into the cities, because all the people, to me, from what I'm seeing, they're going to push us out into the outskirts. So and then they're going to reconstruct the city to only be where you commute there for work or into shop and all that. Again, even more isolation in a region kind of way, regional isolation. So what they're doing is they kind of started in a certain order that seems like A, B, C, D, but what they're going to do is skip C and go to D and then come back to C, and C would be regional isolation. So when you're talking going into the states and then regulating the counties, in which I feel that he's probably going to leave that up to, lower level, like the senates and all those kind of people, the governor and all that, to get that all structured. They may hand them something and say, hey, these are the perimeters that we're working in to get the regional isolation into place. But that is almost like that's going to be like the last thing. And then with the schooling too, what did they show me with the schooling? Oh, yes. Thank you, Spirit. So you guys remember when he first got in the chair and he made the announcement that they were taking back control. They was going to put control of the educational system back to DC, because he was saying that a lot of these different states aren't regulating education properly, because, with each state have their own individual rules and processes to education, just as long as they meet the primary guidelines for the entire, for education across the country, like nationwide. But you could regulate your own laws and govern your own laws and rules within the states. And then they also brought up, I think in Virgo's reading, about civics and the studies of government, and then beef with the Prentice Hall. I feel like there are some that could be going on now that's not public yet. Arguments about where education is going to go now. And the people that was making all this money off of education, they're going to freak out, because a lot of things, again, are going to get consolidated to the point where, first of all, just the books in themselves, how do I put it? It's so many different variations with it, but the main ones they're showing now is, of course, the truth being in that, especially in the history books, a lot of that, like, what is it? U.S. civics. I'm seeing that civics book. I remember that book in 7th grade, and they're showing government, and I remember taking government in 12th grade, and then I'm seeing U.S. history. So we'll see, maybe specifically those books in particular will be the first ones they will start. They're saying auditing. They're going to audit those books in some kind of way. There could be a lot of challenges with that. The way kids learn history may change, because I feel like there's certain parts of history that's like really, really old that, of course, we say, duh, history, you're supposed to learn as far. But what I feel like is going to happen is, they're saying inverted, is what it's like, to me, history is going to become more individualized. Like when you're selecting your classes, you kind of end up in a history class based off of your interest. It's going to kind of become an elective and not, but because I feel like there could be some sort of court case that could come in with someone versus Prentice Hall or the other publishing companies that was putting this information in these books. And one of the rulings after the court case or within the court case, to me, seems like from what I'm seeing, is going to be that, okay, let's just do without it then, because there's proof and there's fact here. It's too much of the truth coming back to the surface. The people are finding out the truth. So they're going to kind of, instead of taking accountability and fully admitting it, like, hey, yeah, we were lying to y'all, what they're going to do is just kind of turn it into an elective, like the way children learn about history will be kind of more on preference. It feels like it will still be mandatory, but very individualized. Like, I feel like, so whoever's going to be fighting against these publishing companies and stuff, they are going to win. enough, because it's even looking like you know how you don't start to get to pick certain history until you get to college, like African American literature and African history and just that. It's gonna definitely be unique to you. I feel I'm hearing pre-made, like based off of how you're born. By the time you get to high school, they can suggest certain things just uniquely tailored to you and where you come from, and then it's certain history that you can take. So it's a lot. We're going to see a huge change in history first, the most. How ironic, right? And so I say all that to say that it can even get older than what's been provided to us in our school system about history. Wow, okay. So that's what we're seeing with that. Okay, Two of Wands with the Eight of Swords. Two of Wands with the Eight of Swords. Oh, yes, thank you. And then also, too, and I'm here to remind y'all, and this is also in other Hollywood Collective readings, but don't forget, after all of this is done, like when that big thing drop that really sent us spiraling for a moment, just hold on tight when it happens. But after it's done, some people are going to remember a lot of this that led up to that and that thing that's going to happen, and some of us won't. Because there's a Mandela effect that they're actually, to me, purposely manipulating energies to see if they can curate it themselves, see if they could create it themselves. Kind of like, what do they call it? Art imitating life and life imitating art. It's just they're making some sort of components to mimic the Mandela effect. And again, I'm telling you, it's going to be crazy. Some of y'all will remember and some of y'all won't. And be like, no, that ain't never happened. Like, and you'll have the leaders just like, y'all can remember how we got here in the first place. And, a lot of them won't. Three of Pentacles with the Queen of Swords and the Magician card. Seven of Swords. I wonder if this is going to be a woman that take the publishing companies to court. Death card with the star. Oh, it may start with the death of a woman. Let me see what this woman is doing. Star card with the Ten of Cups and the Seven of Pentacles. Knight of Cups. Well, this looks like some sort of a divine counterpart union or something that's going to happen. This is tying into my collective reading for Monday, where it showed these divine feminines coming from the sky, like, slowly landing with a parachute on their feet down from the stars. It's almost, if I had to say, what's so interesting, and this is just now hitting me, like when we think about the story of the fallen angels, tell me too, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but did y'all ever imagine that there were any Neanderthal women? I mean, we know there has to be, but why is it that that never crossed my mind, though, when I thought fallen angel? Oh, thank you, Spirit, because they're saying, like, the way the story was told was that these men were the ones trying to breed with the women that were here down on the ground, on Earth. But so then that makes me wonder, what were the Black Widows doing? So now we're starting to find out more and more where the Black Widows derive from. It's just a lot of things just be right up under our nose, but the power of words and stuff and the way people word them, it could change the trajectory of a lot. Sorry, y'all, when I'm channeling, I can't talk for nothing. In that, like, because the way you piece words together can have the human brain kind of interpret things in a different way. Like, you could take one word out of a sentence and it'll change the whole definition and meaning of, and add to, make it powerful, or take the power out of that sentence. Just one word can do that. So what I'm getting here is that because of the way the context was written, just automatically in our brains, we just, these giant men are just running around, sleeping with all of these, interbreeding with all these other women, these earthly women kind of thing. But then you go, where everything has a counterpart to it. Positive, negative, male, female, on, off, hot, cold, polarity. So it's like, so where the fuck was the Jack and the Beanstalk women? Where were the Neanderthal women? right? And so now I think we're gonna find out about that. Like, that's gonna come to the surface too. And I believe those are our black widows, and the black widows that's operating things and all that evil behind the scenes of entertainment and other places of power are descendants of the Neanderthal women. And what makes me wonder is, if the male Neanderthal had the counterpart of a female Neanderthal, what weren't the female Neanderthals capable of doing? Were they infertile? Like, did something happen where they weren't able to make babies? Or was it, now my mind is just going down a rabbit hole, kind of, sort of. So yeah, it's like, what was the deal with that? What would make the Neanderthal men say, to hell with you, giant woman, I'm going down here on Earth and gonna do this, and that? Is, to me, it feels like they're calling the Neanderthal women asexual or something. So a lot of them that's descendants of that may have struggled with fertility here on Earth, and and then when you think Black Widow too, don't they mate with their counterpart and then they kill them? So maybe, the way that they were designed and the way they function, it wasn't productive. And maybe that's why descendants of them now are here on Earth, and they don't really have emotional attachment. Like, a lot of them, I'm sure, suffer from psychopathy. And they are able to do evil, heinous things to destroy the earth, because they don't really have an emotional attachment to Mother Earth, because it's not where they're from. I'm hearing dominating. So they were just, it's like I always see them just sitting and telling the male Neanderthals what to do. They never thought much of a male energy anyway. So a lot of them that are descendants of female Neanderthals, and I pray to God Neanderthal isn't like just one masculine collective word for male male energy. But because I'm ignorant to it, just roll with me for now. But let's hope not. But then I think that would be the true contradiction of it, right? Because one has to wonder. Everything has a counterpart. So why would we heard about them? And I always said we was going to get down to the bottom of finding where those black widows are, what they're all about. But where I was going with it, that's why you will see a lot of descendants of female Neanderthals who don't have respect for men. They never did. That's why Spirit called them black widows. And they show, and the hyenas, because even hyenas in that kingdom, the female is the ruler, not the male. Right? So a lot of hyena / female Neanderthal / black widow descendants they came here and created the feminist movement. They came to destroy femininity, to make this earth just straight masculine. This is hurting the men. So this is going to go great to the last message that I have for y'all about the sex workers. So stay tuned, okay? King of Wands. There he is. Yeah, High Priestess. Yeah, see, these men were more drawn in to a High Priestess type energy, the real divine feminine energy. These Neanderthals understood that it wasn't with their female Neanderthal counterparts, or that all from the mountain of Caucasus or from the caves or wherever they come from. They understood what the deal was, and they wanted to interbreed in that way to create women who got damn sense. You know what I'm saying? And who are more gentle and nurturing. They learn more and they learn more in that way. The women, their counterparts, those female Neanderthals, are very dominating and controlling. They have zero respect for men. And like I said, the way that they seem to have manifested on Earth is these people are dark. They're dark entities. They could be your moms, your sister, like anybody you look at and you're like, damn, you just can't stand a man. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes it comes from the upbringing too, but I'm going to tell you now, there are probably way more descendants on Earth, and a lot of them are extremely powerful. A lot of them are behind the men that look like the leaders. Behind every man, every powerful man is a female Neanderthal, hyena, black widow. That's just what it is. They really run this shit. It don't be the men. The men just do what they tell them to do. The ones that submit to these type of women. These type of women are very dangerous. They have zero respect for men. There's no other way I can say it. That covers everything that you could ever imagine when it comes to masculinity, leadership, and why we don't have that in our men anymore. It's these women, you know, that are descendants of those sorts of beings there. All right, so next we have AI versus entertainment. We're meeting a new singer. We met an actor. I forgot their names. And so now the big issue is people, you know, artists are wondering, hey, you know, we're wondering too, are they going to ask the artists to license their voices? How is this going to go? I'm not seeing that because I feel like it's like this. They know as humans, we already heard that. They are trying to find something to take it to the next level. So, you know, a lot of people too will say, well, why would they want to use their voices to then, you know, put into the AI and then blah, blah, blah. No, because that gives these people jobs. So like if you have an artist and somebody, the powers that be come up to the artist and say, hey, you want to license your voice? No, that's not their goal. To me, I feel like what it is, or one part that I am seeing is where we all need to be careful about is that we're basically training these AIs for free. Why is something so cool and powerful so free right now? Right? And I mean, you're getting enough where you don't really have to pay the subscription. But the ones that pay the subscription, you're really, really training, giving them personalities and stuff. I feel like if one is smart, and I don't know if this exists yet or what's coming, but it's just like playing chess or something. It's like, or a video game. It's like, are you going to own an avatar? You know, have it making money for you, or are you gonna blend in with it or find it to be a competition to you? It's gonna be, to me, I feel like different ways one could get into it, but you gotta learn, you know, learn what it is in order to be able to benefit from owning your own virtual avatar and having it do what you want it or need it to do. But I just feel like it's still kind of eerie, but for the most part, I just feel like they could just be tossing out old Hollywood. Like, it's just, all of that is over now. And so now they're trying to just use, it's all about energy siphoning. So now all they're trying to do is use us, the audiences, and then the artists and actors and actresses to allow these virtual products to siphon their energy so that they can perfect the mannerisms and all to get them as real as possible. That's all really. And they're trying to hurry up and do it before anybody could decide that, hey, you know, you got to pay me. But like, as far as, I'm not feeling like that. If I had an evil brain and I didn't, you know, and I wanted to do it without the artist and I just wanted to own my own virtual thingy that people like, yeah, I don't need another artist that we know voice. I want something bigger and better, but I'm gonna need to siphon what's already here in order to get to that next level. And how would I do it? Of course, I'm gonna do it when it's in its beta stage so that I can get it for free first. And then once I perfect it, then I'll put a price tag on it. And then by the time your ass wake up, it's too late. Yeah. So as far as that part goes, let me see what the cards get, but like, I'm not, it's kind of still up in the air because they probably, right now, I feel like their main focus is getting as much energy from humans as possible with the AIs, like getting the reactions, getting the humans to train these virtual creations that they're making. I'm trying to see some, because I'm getting like some underground energy with like once something is complete, something could get shut out to where now we got everything we need and now y'all can't enter in, or this is going on to cause blockages. Something crazy. Hold on. Temperance card, Emperor card, Ace of Wands, Ten of Cups. Excuse me, Channeling, Judgment card. Yeah, this must be that little actor one that they then came out with. You know, and like people saying like, oh, they're taking our jobs, and you're paying attention to the wrong thing. But that's what they want you to pay attention to. And while all along they say, oh, that's ridiculous. We'll never do that. And I mean, they might not be lying. That's the plot twist to all of this, you know? Because I don't feel like that is their goal, really, to like have y'all competing, or, well, it will, sorry, correction. It is going to push out old Hollywood, but here's the thing. It depends on how established you are and what your audiences want. And as y'all can see, that's already happening. People who have successful tours is because they have a dedicated fan base. So everything is going to be fan based. Even for content creators, and everything is going to be so individualized. And I think I used to say this in my earlier readings of how individualized everything would be, from the way we dress, the type of music we listen to, you know, all of that. So it's not this whole, like with creativity is going to be just a range of different things, and it just depends on where you are at the time. Now, if any of y'all are trying to get in the industry and you're talking about selling deals and stuff, I think you need to wake up, because that's gone. But anybody that's already grandfathered in and all of that kind of stuff and can just keep their fan base steady, they'll be fine. Like, even if there ain't, like, if a company say, hey, we're not signing any more artists anymore, the only people that'll be hurt by that are people that's still aspiring to be, you know, singers and rappers and stuff like that. But the ones that's already in, they'll have some choices, but they're not going to like that they're not the number one choice anymore. And now they have created, I'm not going to say that. They have helped nurture and evolve and amplify these broken personality traits that these artists, celebrities have, that they did all that just to leave them out in the cold. That they're going to hurt more psychologically than they will financially and all of that, because they'll always have those choices because they're grandfathered in, the ones that's already grandfathered in. But the problem will be, a lot of them, you'd be surprised, enjoy more of the fame than they do the money. They need the attention. And if it's a bunch of different people getting attention for different things, like it's been happening anyway, it's just going to get even bigger, because some people are going to choose to have virtual whatever as their product that they said, you know, do stuff to sell. And there will be audiences that will be fans of these created bots. And it's just taking away the pacifier that the industry gave these celebrities, whereas they could use their lifestyles and stuff to tell lies and mask things. They're not going to have that anymore, and that's going to drive them crazy to the point where they'll take they'll take themselves out. It's a whole psychological fuck that if they're not choosing to go ahead and take care of themselves, and they're constantly running around looking for shortcuts and ways to still mask their, well, not mask their celebrity, but to still seem like relevant celebrities. If they're not letting that go, yeah, they're in trouble. They're in trouble, because that's where I see it's going to hurt them more psychologically. Yeah. Because they'll still have everything that they want. It's just it's not fun for them to own it if no one's paying attention to them. That's the worst thing you could do to a celebrity, because they were trained celebrity. They were trained to, they were programmed, not trained or programmed. I feel like it's already in them, but this stuff was just, all the dark sides of them were just amplified because they put them in these environments knowing what was going to happen with that kind of access, freedom, and resources. Everything is a fucking experiment, y'all, and they're done testing the celebrities. Now we hear this is the new thing right here. And they're going to lose their minds if don't nobody pay attention to them, because they feel like that a lot of them become celebrities for attention. Honestly, that's why a lot of them got mental issues. Just as good. They were the ugly duckling in school. You know, they weren't naturally liked by people, you know, because of who they truly were. So they got used to like putting on. I'm not saying all of them, but I would say 90% of them, you know. Seven of Wands with the Hermit card. Yeah, there's going to be an announcement that, oh, it looked just like continuous unveilings of bots here. One that I'm seeing they're struggling with, though, is in sports. One, because, I mean, I just feel like that's going to take a very long time. No one's going to give a shit about that. So anybody wanting to play sports, it's going to peak even more for the sports industry. We're going to see that continue to go up. That's why these football players and stuff are getting these $90 million contracts and stuff, because they already know where it's shifting to. They can't really, you have humans that are robots, like where you have robots that look like human, like damn near. But for the audience, we're not trying, with sports, we love the unpredictability. And even the people who own the sports teams and stuff, sure, they put strange balls with sensors in the, you know what I'm saying? But still, they still love to fuck with the human and see how that human reacts to it. So I see where it's going to be a while before this affects the sports arena. Like they may try some stuff, but it ain't gonna fall through every time, or at all, at least. And what's another industry that I saw and I was like, oh yeah, nah. Because I'm telling you, we're not, hey, they got to do what makes money too. Or what makes us feel submissive to something where they could still use it to control us. And I mean, think about it. You really want to see little, you know, and how are you, like I said, they do have robots that look human, but they look too stiff. Like they're not up to par yet. Where we're just not going to be fascinated with seeing robots playing sports. And because they're so computerized, it takes away from the human experience of manipulation that they still like to do. So I think they're going to still stick to, you know, putting sensors in the balls and all that kind of stuff. That's it for a while. Before they actually have a bunch of robots. Now, I ain't saying that a few teams ain't got a few of them out there, but I just feel like they're just it's too risky. Like they ain't got that up to par yet, like the way that they want it. King of Pentacles I don't think they're going to be able to be successful with that. That's going to always be a struggle with sports. Let me see. Four of Pentacles, Knight of Swords, Three of Cups. Yeah. So yeah, this is just basically warning people to pay attention to where things are shifting, because if you're aspiring to do this and that, you got to understand where the future is headed with it, because you could end up in a bind if you're thinking, you know, like the example I used about the record deals and stuff. Like it's gone, you know. Queen of Wands with the Chariot card. Yeah, it's gone. And I feel like these hyenas here, these black widows, are we'll see a lot of them just moving too, like birds, like a flock of them, like just all of a sudden just moving out of the country, moving out of America. All right, and so the last thing, these sex workers, and that goes right into that. So what I saw that blew my mind, because I was like, well, what industries are going to be impacted the most? Definitely, you know, actors and actresses and singers and rappers and, you know, the music industry and the entertainment industry, that of acting. But sports looks good for a good while. But another thing that's going to be impacted, I don't know whether to call this the modeling industry too, but I think I dare say that, yeah, that intertwined energy, we're going to see a decline heavily in that. And they're calling it like desensitized in a way where, y'all, I seen like a male energy sitting at a computer, and it was like virtual reality sex, right? In the chair, you know, it's a chair, and this chair does all types of, you know, stimulate all parts of the nerves and stuff. And it's like, I seen the guy just looking at a AI sex worker, a digital concubine, if you will, for some of them, because that man looked married or something, or like a popular politician. They're probably already testing this stuff out, because, you know, virtual reality existed so long ago. But even this one did not surprise me because our men are already desensitized on a heavier level, even all the way back to the Neanderthal female energy that I gave you, like with the feminist movement and all that kind of stuff. They were already, numbing them to and turning them on to a lot. That's the point of porn, to disconnect them from human contact in a realistic way. So yeah, I'm seeing they're having virtual sex basically, and he's in this chair, but with a lot of people are like, oh no, that's boring. Like the guy want the real thing. No. Listen, whatever or however this chair is, to me it looks like because the way it's messing with the man's mind is that the AI is operating the energy that's going on around the guy, and that's what's like tripping the brain into a certain type of submission and addiction to it. Now, I don't know the science behind that, but that's what spirit showed me, and that's why, because most people are like, oh damn it, if that's the case, I'll have a real human that, whatever, and they can come over to the house and I could really feel. No, it's more of a mind thing. They're already desensitizing the male reproductive organs as is. We could go in way deeper than that. Like they're already removing men in different ways. They already are. Like, we don't really get a lot of heavy representation of a real heterosexual man. Let's just start there and what he represents. So there's hardly any role models in that sense already. On top of the fact that they're already taking in a lot of estrogen chemically. So then that goes to the mind, the brain, the part I'm talking about, where I see the guy sitting in front of so even with, their appetites are gonna change. They're not gonna be interested in, I know it sounds crazy, but it's very addictive. And when I say this stuff gonna be dirt cheap eventually, that's how because things start out expensive when they're testing it and stuff, but once they got it the way they want, that's why the prices drop, so they can get the masses to purchase it, because they already know the effect and impact that it's gonna do on the population. And it's gonna go down, and everybody's gonna think it's cool to own them things, and it disconnects the male from the female, and then therefore we can't populate we can't procreate. I mean, it just, there are movies where we've seen maybe the robot fall in love with the human man, or a human man fall in love with the robot. But it scared me when I saw that. I was like, oh my God. We think as women, we're having a tough time dating now because, first of all, a lot of men, they don't have to court you, so they usually ain't gonna court you. So that's already gone. I mean, it's so many story times out here from dates from hell. Like, people just have so many bad experience with just dating, getting to know guys. And when they get to know them, it's just everybody have all these mental illnesses and stuff now. There's no etiquette anymore. Why? Because it's been like the role models have already been destroyed. That's what you do. You remove people in power that set great examples and can lead the way, and you replace them with people who don't mean well, and that's going to mislead. And without the leader energy, which is the fire element, that of which is a male counterpart, a masculine energy. And what's so crazy about it is everything is becoming so masculine on earth, right? As far as the way things are operated economically and all that kind of stuff. But emotionally and mentally, all the masculine souls are feminine, operating in a masculine world that they can't even take control of because they don't have the masculinity inside of them to do that. So you see how they even did that? To where they're making earth so masculine, but yet the masculine energies that's naturally born to be masculine are being tampered with and injected with estrogen. Why? Because they know that with that estrogen, they are losing muscle mass and everything. Like, you would be surprised all the responsibilities that testosterone have, even when it comes to the male psyche and how strong they are with their perception of leadership and how easy it is for them to feel discouraged without that testosterone. It runs deep. And so if they don't even have testosterone inside of them to even challenge the masculine earth, they're being bitched too. So that's why the entire earth, the energy of the earth, is they're trying to make it completely masculine so that all of us inside of earth can just have a bunch of estrogen to not have the strength or the mental capacity to strategize and to, you know, take whatever belongs to us back or challenge or rebel against anything. Yeah. All right. So there you guys have it. My name is Diamond. You're watching Pretty Blind Eyes, and I'll see you next go around. Bye.